Joined by retired Marine Intelligence Officer and host of the Strat podcast, Hal Kempfer, is with us today. Hal, thank you for joining us. I know we're in the early stages of this investigation, but what do you make of the pair of attacks? You got two rented pickup trucks in two different cities this morning. Coincidence, or you think this is linked?
Well, Rick, it's everyone's looking at their connection. Is it more than coincidence? I got to tell you, if you look at the fact that it was the Trump Hotel, Trump International, it was a Tesla vehicle, and the connections there, and of course it happens on New Year's, or actually the New Year, and then you tie that to a vehicle attack where there was IEDs associated with it that happened in New Orleans. It's really starting to strain credibility that they could have been completely disconnected. And of course, they're both rented from the same Truro thing. So I'm seeing a lot of connections there. Of course, the FBI is going to see if there's a stronger connection there. But then again, a lot of times with online things, there doesn't have to be a really strong connection. It can be those who are basically affiliated or find an affinity with the organization that decide to do something based on a suggestion.
Hal, let's talk about the suspect in New Orleans. We know that he is a 42-year-old. His name is Shamsuddin Jabbar. He's an Army vet from Texas. The FBI found videos posted to social media before the attack saying that he was inspired by ISIS. There was even a flag found in the bed of the truck and expressed a desire to kill. Let's talk about the potential here of radicalization and about the possible accomplices who are still out there.
Well, sure, there might be accomplices. You know, they actually did end up walking back this afternoon. Some of the suspects they thought looked suspicious that might have been involved. It turns out they were not directly involved. Hasn't ruled out the fact this could be more than one. And of course, if the attacks are connected, then you have a conspiracy by definition that took place. He's kind of interesting. He was active duty in the Army, and then he was in the Army Reserve afterwards. Apparently, got to the rank of staff sergeant. And then for some reason, after 13 years, decided to just stop doing anything more with the military, did not stick around to collect a retirement, didn't do anything like that, and was in real estate. And based on a video that I saw from about 5 years ago, he didn't seem to be pretty radical at that point. But of course, more recently, we've seen this more radicalized stuff. And it's not clear. You know, he got divorced for a second time in 2022. There were, some allegations of potential violence involved with that. And a lot of times a personal event like that can tie to something else where they look for an ideological reason to justify what they're doing or what they're thinking. And those two kind of merge. And we've seen that with domestic terrorists many times, that they will merge into a very violent and dangerous combination.
We mentioned the ISIS flag, Hal. We haven't heard from ISIS in a long time. Where do you think that threat is being at this point? Is that getting ramped up again?
Well, they're looking at it very closely. Of course, if you look at what's happened in Syria, ISIS has been knocked down considerably. The U.S. did a huge attack, a series of huge strikes against ISIS in the wake of the Assad government falling to basically put them back on their heels. And of course, we've seen ISIS-K very aggressively doing attacks around the world. They attacked Iran. They attacked Moscow. They've been involved with other plots and other types of things going on. So ISIS is trying to do something to overcome its battlefield setbacks. And typically in the past, when they're pushed back on the battlefield, they find something overseas to do. And in both these cases, it could be something like that, and it could be something that was actually orchestrated online. There may not be actual individuals traveling around the world. It could have been something that was orchestrated mostly in a virtual domain.
Yeah, like on the dark web. And President Biden said that the investigation, obviously, as we know, is in its preliminary stages. Where do you think things go next? And what, if any, is there a U.S. response that you foresee?
Well, what I see now is the U.S. response will be mostly in security. We have some upcoming events coming on. Obviously, we got the Sugar Bowl tomorrow, but the Super Bowl is coming up, and of course, the inauguration. And I'm anticipating that the big thing we're going to see is really ramped up security, pushing the perimeter out, a lot more presence, probably more things like bringing in the National Guard and things like that as a visible deterrent to potential terrorists. That's something I see. I also see a very aggressive investigation that may become a very international investigation involving a number of allied countries and their security services trying to track down where did this idea, where did this concept, this plan, if you will, where did it actually germinate? Who were the shot callers, if you will? Were they here or overseas? This does not look like a lone wolf or a typical lone wolf style attack. So we're going to find out more.
Yeah, we've only got a few seconds left. Hal, do you sense more attacks may be coming?
I'm fearfully, yeah. I think the world is a very dangerous place right now. There's a number of extremist groups that have been pushed back. We saw it happen with Hamas, certainly Hezbollah and ISIS, and there are others. And I think they're going to try and find some way to validate themselves. And sadly, this is how terrorists validate themselves.
All right, Hal Kempfer, thank you so much for your time, especially on New Year's Day. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Hal.
Chair, Rick, thank you.